Disclaimer, do not contact anybody that I talk about in this video. Do not contact them. Do not reach out to them. This is all just commentary and opinion. A publicly available document. Viewer discretion advised. Trigger warning contains graphic and disturbing details about crimes against children. And speaking of which, what the hell is wrong with Turning Point USA, Turning Point Faith, all of whatever they've got going on over there, and Erica Kirk in general, sitting there acting like she's holier than thou, above everybody. Meanwhile, she's got predators who excuse this kind of behavior. She's going on tour with them, going on stage with them, kissing their ass. I mean, it's infuriating. I can't freaking stand it. I cannot stand to watch it anymore. And then she gets like all these people like she must be pretty powerful, or maybe not powerful, but she must know some powerful people, because the way that like the media has just latched onto her, the way that they protect her and defend her, it's I think that's been the most unsettling revelation out of that whole entire story, is just, you see, because that's how you know. That's how you know what side these people are on. Because when the evil demons are not attacking them, and in fact providing them with protection and cover, you know what's up. You know what time it is, and we're not gonna be gaslit anymore. These days are over. These days are over. Okay? These children have been harmed. These children were hurt by the very people who were supposed to be there to help them, to protect them. Erica didn't mind having her name attached to all that until this all came out. So just bear this in mind. Bear this in mind. She is fully well aware of the allegations against Greg Laurie. And I think there's even more. I don't even know if Candace Owens has gotten to talk about Greg Laurie yet. Like, there's other pastors. Oh, that's right. Rob McCoy. Him. I'm not saying he's partook in this behavior. That's not what I'm saying. But he was running cover for another pervert. It's like all these pastors and these missionaries really love to protect their pervert friends and just abandon the children that they were supposed to protect. Like, it's becoming an unavoidable pattern. It's an unavoidable pattern. And I challenge Erica Kirk. If I'm wrong, would she trust any of these pastors with her children? Would she let any of these pastors who work with children babysit her children? These pastors that she advocates for and that she goes on Christian church tours with, would she allow them to babysit her children? There's no way to know for sure, but I'm going to get off my soapbox now, because the more and more the time goes on, the more I think, the more mad I'm getting about all this. I really am. I'm getting sick of people just lying to our faces. You know what I mean? Acting like that this is all normal, nothing's wrong. And I'm almost wondering that all these big stories that have been coming out recently, I'm almost wondering if these aren't just distractions. If these weren't just orchestrated. I'm not trying to be morbid or anything. Maybe they're shooting down American citizens because that's how desperate they are to keep us sidetracked from the child trafficking network. Because that's where all the roads lead back to. That's where all roads lead to child trafficking. And I'm really sick of people acting like we're the ones who just love to talk about this. Like we're the ones who want this to be the case. Like we just invented this out of our sick, depraved minds. This is what the world we live in. This is how we perceive the world we live in. And that's just all there is to it. Like as if we didn't try to find ways and justifications in our heads this whole time. Well, maybe that is weird, but no, that doesn't sound right. No, they surely can't be hurting children. No, I don't want to believe that. This whole time, not wanting to believe it, but then always looking fucking stupid, because it always turns out that it's always worse. It's always worse than what it appears to be. So yeah, I just had to get that all off my chest. With all that said, we're not going to be gaslit anymore. We're not going to coddle anybody who doesn't want to listen or doesn't want to believe. Go somewhere else. Go watch some pop culture gossip or celebrity gossip or whatever the fuck waste of time that you all like to do. Because that's another thing I like to get on my soapbox about before I get back into this lawsuit. What is up with all these celebrity gossip vloggers? I mean, you know what? Excuse me. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't judge that, because I know everybody likes to talk about the stuff they like to talk about. But to be honest, I'm really watches it. Maybe that's what I'm mad about. Why are we watching this? Why are we watching this stupid, distracting celebrity gossip when there are literally children out there being trafficked? Like, that's what I want to know. And more than likely, the celebrities you're gossiping about know about it, and if they're not participating in it, they're turning a blind eye to it, which is just as bad. So, now let's get back to Bogdan Ionescu's lawsuit against Paul Havsgard, Harvest Church, and their affiliates. Now remember, how are they all connected? Someone made a comment the other day and asked how specifically Paul Havsgard was connected to Erica Kirk. I don't know if Paul Havsgard specifically is connected to Erica Kirk. Paul Havsgard works with Greg Lowry. That's who Erica Kirk works with. Now, Greg Lowry has his own weird things going on and his own allegations going on. This, his buddy Paul here, is just one of the many controversies that follow that guy around. So Greg Lowry is another person who would be worth investigating. But Paul Havsgard basically is kind of like, in a mega church, you see, you kind of have apparently more than one pastor. And Paul Havsgard was one of these pastors at the Harvest Mega Church in Riverside. And Paul Havsgard is the one that Greg Lowry wanted to send to Romania to run these harvest homes for these orphans. Despite the fact that Paul Havsgard's wife didn't want to go, Paul Havsgard and Greg Lowry pretty much talked her into going. And maybe I don't really want to give her that many excuses, because I think it's kind of sad and sick how she just kind of stood by and watched this all happen and is now I guess at least she's speaking up. I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to be charitable with her, but, it's not easy. Someone needs to be charitable with the kids. That's what I want to be charitable with. Everyone is worried about the perpetrators who are perpetrating these crimes and stuff. I'm sick of that crap. When none of these kids are ever thought about. Ever. It's just like, forget their suffering, their pain, their feelings. So that's who I stand with. I don't know about you all. I stand with the kids. I stand with the victims. Okay. Anyways, wow, I almost ranted for like 10 minutes there and I hadn't even started reading yet. Anyways, let's get back to this. Okay. Havsgard multiple forms of child abuse. Often under the guise of punishment for infractions, both real and made up, Havsgard would strip off the kids' trousers, underwear, bent them over his legs, and hit them. Then, with them naked from the waist down, he would force them over his knee directly on top of his crotch and spank them. He often got erect, which the children could feel through his clothes. At times, Havsgard would also massage their legs and buttocks, at first rubbing in a way that was not painful, but eventually you would usually probe their anal area with his fingers. And this frequently led to Havsgard digitally raping them, putting his fingers in their butts. I mean, I don't like reading it out loud. I don't. And it's not just because of YouTube, but I don't even like saying it out loud. It's just so horrendous and evil. You can't just, and it's specific. He's actually telling you what Havsgard was doing to them. He's not being vague. He's being very specific. Sometimes he would smell or lick the fingers after doing this, even if it was, covered in crap. And the combination of all of this was so common that the children developed a polyglot Romanian English term for it, which sounded like spanky. So the kids even had their own name for this abuse that was happening. For boys, he would also, fondle their genitals. Mostly Havsgard abused the children in this way in private, in the bedroom or the attic, but he also did so in front of other children, including at the Sunday church service, which Havsgard led, and where Harvest staff were present. Havsgard administered these painful sessions regularly, from multiple times a week to several times a day, depending on the child and Havsgard's own whims. Many times the cries of the victims were widely audible. This prompted Havsgard to choke children during punishment, additionally terrifying them. One boy remembers being punished, then being asked to touch Havsgard's erect penis, with Havsgard choking him to make sure he stayed quiet, saying it will all be over soon. And you know, the sad thing is, you know, Romania, especially at this time, I'm assuming this is the 90s, like, this was such a common thing. Like, these kids had no one they could go to. Like, they had no one they could go to for help. And that's what's troubling me and making me so sick. Is that they literally, like, had no one that they could go to. It's just, I can't get over it. I just can't get over it. Like, you know, here in the United States, it's unfortunate. You know, even when we do, I guess that I shouldn't say anything, because a lot of victims don't go, even when they do have someone they can go to for help, because it's part of the mental enslavement. You know what I mean? It's part of the mental enslavement. But it's just so freaking sad. Okay. Harvest staff knew of Havsgard's abuse, and some even used it to threaten the kids when they misbehave, giving the kids like a choice, like, you know, either kneel for hours on their bare knees on broken walnut shells, or with their face against the tile wall of the bathroom, arms raised, or go with Paul. Wait a minute. Those were their 3 options for fun. Let me read that again. Okay, either kneel for hours on their bare knees on broken walnut shells, fucking ow, or with their face against the tile wall of a bathroom, arms raised, or go with Paul. I would go with the second option. I mean, I don't know. It depends. Do they mean the wall of the bathroom? It says wall. That doesn't sound too bad, with your arms raised, face against the wall. I might be able to deal with that for an extended period of time, but before the walnuts shells or the go with Paul. But like, anyways. I mean, whatever the fuck happened to just go stand in the corner for 10 minutes, or I don't know. Fuck if I know. I don't know. Okay. Beyond the spankies, with or without the penetration, for both boys and girls, Havsgard had multiple ways of abusing these kids who were in his care, who were as young as 4. And that, like I said, it keeps coming up. I have a feeling that there was either a 4-year-old or this was his preference. Because, like, you don't just keep saying that specific age over and over. You might say, like, pre-K age or you know what I mean? But, like, they specifically say 4-year-old children over and over again. And I'm assuming there's a reason for that. So, they give an exact list of everything that they did. Of everything that Havsgard did to them. And him. I'm assuming. Okay. He took shirtless photos of the boys, saying they were for their American sponsors, but actually used them for his own gratification. And I think I read this list last video. I can't even remember now. Sorry if I'm repeating this. I think I actually, wait a minute. Let me see. You know, I think I did read all of this in my last video. I apologize. Wow, I must have a really bad memory if I didn't. I just sat here for like 10 minutes and read a bunch of stuff that I'd already read. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need some coffee or something. I don't know how I could forget all that. Anywho. But anyways, you guys can go ahead and read all these. These are all the different things that he would have either Bogdan do or the other children at the orphanage do. This is a list of all the different things. That plus what they call spankies, which is what we just literally got finished describing. Okay, Havsgard often accompanied this abuse with this patter. What's that word? I don't know. Maybe I'm a dumbass. Professing that he was their father and that he loved them as a father and that they were all part of one loving family with him in control. He told the children, I know what God wants, and what I want, God wants. And this is another reason why I have a hard time trusting, like, preachers sometimes. And it's because, like I said, you know, I'm sure that, I know that a lot of preachers have good intentions and whatnot and everything, but, like, this is a problem in my opinion. Like, saying that in order to have knowledge and wisdom, you got to go talk to a pastor, you got to go talk to a priest. I don't buy into that. I don't subscribe that. That's putting someone in between you and God. And in my opinion, anything that stands in the way between you and God is the opposite of what God wants. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. You're not going to come between me and my own relationship with God. That's how I feel. But anyways, in this situation, it's a lot different. I mean, so I just went off on a whole side tangent there. So basically, Havsgard is using this manipulation tactic with the children. You know, and children are young. It's an easy tactic to use on children. You know, you simply put yourself in the place of God and say that whatever I say is God, is church. Like, you know what I mean? These kids who have like no other adult authority to tell them any different are going to naturally believe it. Because they are looking to this man for stability and knowledge and support. So, you know, they trust him. Obviously, what you want, Mr. Havsgard, is whatever God wants. Obviously. And it's a mind control. And Havsgard's perverse murmurings added to the harm and upset from the abuse. Well, naturally it did. Stories circulating about Havsgard's abuse of children caused outsiders to deride residents of the homes as gay, a terrible stigma in Romania at that time. Yeah, that was a terrible stigma for anybody at that time. I don't know what Romania is like or what it was like then versus now, but I feel like, at least in the United States, we've come a long way, right? At least I hope so. I mean, does anybody actually honestly care what someone else's sexual orientation is? I mean, can we just move past that? Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. Great. Let's move on. Okay. Like other child victims, many residents of the home were in complete, tumultuous. Tumult. You know, the short word for tumultuous. About their sexual identity. If you're new here, I'm very bad at pronouncing very simple words, so it's a problem that I'm working on. Okay. Beyond Havsgard's regular conquest of boys, he also assaulted the girls. Havsgard would undress them and force them on top of his lap. He would then brutally spank their bare bottoms, and whilst he was spanking some of them, he would touch himself. When he had finished his physical attacks, Havsgard would then force some of the girls to stand naked in front of him while he looked them up and down, hugged them, caressed them, and kissed them. Some educational programs were instituted at first, but these degenerated and the children emerged from the harvest homes with little or no schooling, prepared only for manual labor, a return to the streets, and or sex work. And some remain illiterate. So not only they were being robbed of their innocence in every sense of the word, they didn't even, some of them didn't even, know how to read when they left there. That's how much respect the Harvest Church affiliates had for these kids. At least, well, maybe I shouldn't put it all on Harvest Church. But you know what? Yeah, I will put it all on Harvest Church. You know why? Because they're the ones who sent this man. And then when they learned what was happening, when they got confirmation it was happening, they didn't stop it. They didn't stop it immediately. It took them 4 years to stop it. So yeah, I can blame the church. Okay. The children at sea in this abusive environment learned that giving in to Havsgard predation brought rewards. His favorites received expensive gifts like stereos and PlayStations, branded clothing and sneakers, better food, trips outside the home, overnight trips to hotels with him, where they had to stay in the same room and bed, and sometimes permission to see their families if they had one. Well, that is extremely sad that some of them had families and were still stuck in this orphanage. That is very unfortunate. Some boys were permitted, I wonder if, you know what, never mind, I better not ask. I'll get to that in a minute. Some boys were permitted to have girlfriends and have sex with them in the home starting at age 13 or 14. Which was Havsgard's way of reassuring the boys that they were not homosexual, despite anal rape from Havsgard, and a reward for being available to him and keeping silent. Now that was a loaded paragraph right there. he would mentally manipulate them by once he was done raping them, these poor boys who I'm sure some of them weren't gay, or whether they were or weren't doesn't matter. And then you got him manipulating them and encouraging them to have sex with all these other girls. Like, it's just... I don't believe for one second that there were others, like, that Paul Havsgard was the only one. I'm not taking anything away from Bogdan, don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand me, but I'm saying I don't believe that this was Havsgard acting solo, if you get my drift. Like, I think it was systemic. I think this was, not only was this, they knew that this was happening, meaning they, the church, not only they knew this was happening, I believe this was what they wanted to happen. I really do believe that. I really honestly do. And it was only until things started getting loud, and they still didn't stop it, but they slowly turned it off over a span of, 4 years? It took them 4 years from the time they learned about this stuff to the time where they actually closed it down. It took them 4 years. And then Havsgard, did he get immediately fired or reprimanded? No. He got his bonus. He got to live his best life. Just like all these freaking weirdos. It's a common pattern with them. They all get to do all this, harm a bunch of people, ruin a bunch of other lives, and then go off to live their best life. It's a pattern. And I don't like this pattern. Anyways, they were allowed to drive harvest vehicles while underage and without a license. And on at least one occasion, a boy caused a serious accident. Dang. Several boys would unlock and open the bathroom door to watch Havsgard's wife, Kathy, showering. She asked Havsgard to intervene to stop them, but he did nothing, and they continued to besiege and ogle her in the bathroom. Finally, Kathy took to having a bucket in her bedroom to urinate and use baby wipes to give herself a shower. Oh my God. I mean, that's not the boy's fault. I mean, like, this is the environment that Havsgard groomed them for, basically. And I'm not trying to have too much sympathy for Kathy, because I think she's guilty of her own shit. But, like, I still feel bad for Kathy. I can't help it, okay? I can't help it. I can't help but to feel slightly bad for Kathy, okay? I do. It just... But I am still wondering how, like, possibly she could just sit back knowing these things were happening. More than likely knowing. I mean, she knew that her husband had these, she knows her husband better than anybody. I don't believe for a second that she didn't know that this was happening. And so, I guess I shouldn't feel too sorry for her. I know, listen to me. I'm sitting here trying to argue with myself. Do I feel bad for her? I don't know. I don't really want to feel bad for her. But, like, I don't know. I need more context about Kathy. The jury's still out on Kathy. I need a little more context on her before I decide how I feel about her. But anyways, let's continue. Havsgard's favorite boys basked in their special status, despite their inner turmoil, and often taunted and beat up the other kids without repercussions from Havsgard or other harvest staff. So basically, his favorite kids, the ones who went along to get along, started turning around and directing their angst and their anger towards the other kids. Havsgard's flagrant abuse of children meant that everyone lived on constant high alert, fearing when he might next single them out. The children often saw Havsgard abuse others through open doors, quote, spankies, masturbation, oral sex, digital penetration, anal sex, and more. One child found shoe boxes and waste baskets full, oh my God, of feces in the attic of the Buffy home, where Havsgard engaged in frequent anal sex with boys in his care. One child who wanted permission to go out for an evening confronted Havsgard in front of the other children and adults in the home. He asked Havsgard directly, "What's the deal? Do I have to stay for you to suck my dick to go out?" Ooh. Havsgard's response was to give a beating and more spankies. Alright. The children often saw evidence that Havsgard was abusing other children, their friends. For instance, one girl noticed that one of the boys, Leo L., at times left Havsgard's bedroom with a wet spot on the back of his shorts, which was apparently caused by, well, Other times, children spotted dark stains on Leo L's trousers. In or around 2007, when Havsgard broke his leg, he requested that another minor resident of the Harvest Homes, Roxana Maria Turonu, tend to him in various ways. On at least one occasion, Havsgard asked Roxana to wash him and got an erection. And Miha Pektu walked past and saw Havsgard masturbating himself while Roxana washed his feet. One of the children living at the Buffy home, Christian Arrero, watch me destroy these last names. I am absolutely sorry to any Romanian listener. I apologize. Listen, we can't be good at everything, and pronunciation is just not one of my talents. I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep trying. Okay. So Christian noticed Havsgard going up the attic and followed him there after a little while, curious about what was up there after he had seen Havsgard carrying boxes upstairs. Christian found Havsgard with Leo L., both with their pants down. Leo L. was cleaning his buttocks. Okay, now we get into what Bogdan witnesses. Bogdan witnessed Havsgard perform oral on Leo L. in or around 2006. Bogdan went to the bathroom, which was located near Havsgard's bedroom upstairs in Buffy. Havsgard's bedroom door was left slightly ajar, and Bogdan could see Havsgard kneeling on the floor, shirtless, while Leo L. sat in front of him on the couch, sucking Havsgard's, Alexandru Christian Buskar, just Alexandru, also witnessed Havsgard perform oral on Leo L. Poor Leo L, man. He seems to get it a lot. One day, Havsgard had bought Leo L a stereo, but Leo did not like how it sounded. Havsgard purchased him another one, and he placed the first stereo in the attic of the Buffy house. Alexandru told Leo that he would like to have discarded the stereo. Leo L. told Alexandru that he, Leo L., would ask Havsgard if Alexandru could have it. Havsgard and Leo L. went to the attic, purportedly to look for the stereo, but they did not come back for several minutes. Alexandru went to look for them, but when he opened the door, Havsgard was kneeling with Leo L. standing naked in front of him, and Havsgard had his mouth on Leo L.'s penis. And then another resident, George Adrian Vasil, also once entered a room and saw again Leo L. I have to assume at this point Leo L. must have been a favorite of Havsgard, I guess. Saw the same oral situation happening, and he turned around and left. Okay. Okay. Christian also walked in on Havsgard performing oral on another boy named Mark M. in the home. Christian had been looking for Havsgard because he was promised money to buy new jeans. Although Christian was surprised by what he saw, he did not leave. He just asked Mark M. to translate his request for cash so Havsgard would understand it. Havsgard then grabbed a handful of money, gave it to Christian, showing no embarrassment over this crime he was in the act of committing, and Havsgard returned to the blowjob as soon as Christian started to leave the room. So he wasn't even trying to hide it. I mean, he's leaving the doors open and stuff, leaving them cracked open. He wants them to walk in and see this. He obviously wants them to find him in these situations. Alexandru also shared a room with Mark M., who would beg Alexandru not to leave the room, telling him, "Don't leave, Paul's coming again to suck my dick." So Mark M. did not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily call this a consensual situation. It's not consensual anyway. It's not consensual anyway. They're children, for God's sake. Even if they wanted to, they are still children. Like, it's crazy. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here for right now and come back, because we'll get into like the video recordings when I get back and all that other stuff. So it gets kind of, yeah. It gets pretty bad, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it gets bad. This whole thing is bad. And this is what I don't understand. It's like with Erica Kirk and, like, let's say everything that Candace is talking about with her, you know what I mean, about her grieving, about like the videos that have been leaked, about her laughing and stuff. No, they did not necessarily seem normal to me either. That did not feel right. I'm not going to lie, it was a little wrong and off, but I'll give Erica this, like, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but people really do grieve different, so I didn't necessarily hold that against her, because sometimes you just numb at first. Like, it doesn't hit you for a while, especially like right after it first happens, so I'll give it that. This is what I'm worried about. This is the most concerning and the most damning thing that we could talk about with Erica Kirk, or her associations, and the fact that she's associated with church, says she loves God and loves Jesus or whatever, all this, and then she has these men harming children working with her. That I cannot reconcile, and that I won't reconcile. I'll never reconcile that, but that's just me. So you can take or leave all the other stuff. That is what I don't like about Erica Kirk, and that's why I think she's fake. And yeah, I think she's fake. You either protect kids or you don't. You protect kids or you don't. Anyways, have a good day.